can you make $2,500 per month or more in cash flow in today's rental market with the super high home prices and the super high interest rates? Well, the answer is a resounding yes. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I was able to do this on a property that I purchased less than a year ago. And we're going to go over in great detail the exact strategy for how to do this. For those of you who don't know me, hi, my name is Ryan Chaw, your friendly neighborhood real estate investor, and I teach new real estate investors how to get their very first profitable investment deal. Now we'll go ahead and go over the strategy that I use that can double your rental income on a typical rental property, and that is renting by the bedroom to students, to college students, and healthcare professionals. In this video, we're going to first talk about why student housing is in such high demand, which generally means higher pricing for you and consistency for rental income. Then we're going to talk about the advantages that you get from doing student housing or rent by the room to students and professionals. Then we're going to go over how to pick the right market for doing the student housing strategy. Then we're going to talk about how you can add those additional bedrooms to create that extra income for yourself. And in fact, a lot of times doubling the rental income that you can normally get. And then finally, we're going to go over some case studies for one of my student rentals and that of one of my clients as well. So you can see the actual numbers behind the student rental model. The key is having those multiple tenants per house, which allows you to really increase the amount of rental income you're making. And the students love this because they're renting out a place for half the price of on-campus housing, and they don't have to pay for a meal plan, they don't have to pay for parking, so they save a lot of money by staying at your house if you're renting out by the bedroom. Also, they can bring in their friends, and they have a lot more privacy compared to the college dormitories where they have to share a shower with like 20 other people. Now, it's very common in this industry for one person to contact you and say that they have 5 other friends interested in staying at your property. So you end up with a group of 6 people who are all friends, and they're each paying $700 a month, which leads you to making $4,200 per month on that house, while the students are saving a lot of money because they're only being charged $700 versus on campus is charging them $1,200 a month. So it's a win-win situation for everyone. Now, the advantages to you as a landlord is that there's just so much demand for student housing because of what I just explained. And because of that high demand, what you have is you have very consistent tenants throughout the year. You will basically have back-to-back leases, August to August of the following year. And a lot of these students are going to stay for several years, especially if they're pursuing postgraduate programs. And what that leads to is very low to no vacancies for you as a landlord. Now, you might be asking, okay, what happens during the summertime when students are maybe out for the summer? Well, a lot of these students, they do take summer school, so they might actually go straight through summer, especially if they're in a professional program which requires them to study during the summer, such as the pharmacy program or dentistry or MD program or nursing. So a lot of these people, yeah, they will go through summer, or they might end up subletting it to somebody else who's taking summer school. So there's a lot of summer interns out there, a lot of people rotating through the local hospitals that stay just for the summertime. So basically you have 1-year leases with the tenants, and then they can sublet during the time that they're not there. Now, the other big advantage for you as a landlord is that these tenants have multiple ways to pay rent, especially for the students. They have, for example, their financial aid. They might get scholarships. They might have a stipend, like a research stipend, to do research at that university. They might have their parents paying for the rent. A lot of times the parents are covering the rent, and no parent is going to want to stop paying their child's rent and risk the child being evicted from their house where they're studying. And then finally, students have student loans, which they can take out to help pay for the room and board for the place that they're staying. And of course, last but not least, as a landlord, you're making a lot higher return on a house that you would typically maybe make $1,500 to $2,000 a month in rental income on. You're now making $4,200 per month in rental income if you're renting out to 6 people at a time. Now, of course, not every house will make a great student rental. So let's go over the ways that you can make your student rental very attractive for students so that you have low to no vacancies. The first thing you want to do is invest near a top college. So I usually go to the US News Top Colleges report, and I will go down that list of colleges to see what colleges are highly ranked on that list. And the reason I do that is because I want to have students who are very studious. They got straight A's in high schools, maybe they're well rounded, and they fought hard to get into that school. So they're really focused on getting that degree rather than throwing a wild party. So start with the top college. And then from there, I usually pick a property that's very close to the school. So you want to be within a 5-minute drive of campus. And if possible, you want to be walkable to campus or just a quick shuttle ride away. That way that students, when they wake up for the 8 a.m. classes, they don't have to wake up super early. In fact, most students, when they're looking for a place to stay, they really prioritize being as close to the school as possible. And that's the number one criteria you should have. The second thing I look for is being in a safe neighborhood. So if you're in a neighborhood where it's dangerous, or maybe you're driving from your house to the school and you're passing through a lot of unsafe areas, the parents are not going to feel very safe if they're having their kids stay at your house. So you really have to think about staying in the safest neighborhoods possible. And sometimes I also provide a security camera as an extra benefit for the students so that the students can see when their packages are delivered, and then they can feel safe as well. So make sure you really look at what the crime rate is in the area. And I like going to crimegrade.org, typing in your zip code, and then seeing what are the areas that are generally safer to stay in. The next thing you're going to want to do is find a house that's large enough size so that you can create those extra bedrooms. Ideally, you have up to 6 bedrooms. Typically, you want to have a square footage of 1,500 square foot or more, and the more the better, generally speaking. What you want to do is divide your total square footage by 300, and that gives you how many bedrooms you can have. So a 1,500 square foot house divided by 300 means you can have 5 bedrooms. 1,800 square foot house divided by 300 means you can have 6 bedrooms. So generally, I do actually nowadays look for 1,800 square foot or more, but that's if I'm aiming for 6 bedrooms at the house. Once you find a house where you can add those extra bedrooms, what you want to do is figure out how can you add in those extra bedrooms in a cost-efficient way so you save yourself a lot of money. The best way to add in a bedroom without costing you a lot of money is to repurpose an existing room as a bedroom. And for that, all you have to do is add in a bed, mattress, a study desk, a study chair, and a nightstand and a closet. So a lot of times, let's say I have a living room, a family room, a dining room, and a bonus room. I will turn most of those rooms into bedrooms and keep just one of them as the common space. So I might turn the family room and the bonus room and the office room into bedrooms while the living room stays as the common space. Now, let's say I have less room than that. What I might do is actually divide a living room in half, and half of the living room will become the bedroom, and the other half will remain the common space for the students. Now, let's say you don't have any common space, or you have very few common space. What you can do is get a little bit creative, and you can actually turn like the garage into the new living space or hangout area. Like a lot of people on Airbnb do, they will put a couch in the garage, or they might put some rug in the garage. They'll put a couch there. They'll put a nice pool table or foosball table, and then that will become the new hangout area. And what you can do is now turn the living room, which was the old hangout area, into a bedroom. Finally, you can also convert the basement or the attic into a new common space as well. Now, adding those bedrooms is almost always a good idea because every single bedroom that you can add is an extra $600 to $700 per month in rent, depending on what area you're in. Some areas might even be $1,000 per month in rent for each bedroom. So every bedroom you add really does add up, and you want to try to utilize that space as much as possible. Okay, now that we talked about where to add those bedrooms, let me go ahead and show you some actual numbers for some of my student rentals and the student rentals of the clients that I teach this strategy to. I bought this property for $210,000 and it was a 4 bed, 2.5 bathroom property that was 2,800 square foot. Because there was so much room in this area, this living room area, I was able to add 2 additional bedrooms to it to make it a 6 bedroom, 2.5 bathroom property. And I rented it out, all 6 bedrooms, to a set of 6 baseball players at one of the local colleges, and I'm making $3,750 per month in rental income on it. The mortgage payment is $1,190 per month, making the total cash flow $2,560 per month. So for a property that I basically purchased for $42,000, it ended up making me about $30,000 a year in cash flow, which was a pretty tremendous return. Now, here's an example from one of my students. She bought this property for $345,000. It was a 4 bed, 2 bath property that was 2,239 square foot. She added 2 extra bedrooms and was able to rent it out to 7 students. This client of mine was able to get a signed lease for a group of 7 on this property, and she rented it out unfurnished because the students already had their own furnishings for $4,600 per month in rental income, and her PITI, which is just the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, basically your mortgage payment, was $2,161 per month. So her cash flow after that was $2,439 per month, which was really good considering this was the very first property that she purchased. So you can see that student and professional housing is one of the best ways to create this high cash flow on your rentals. And if you have any questions about the strategy at all, go ahead and share your question in the comments down below and I'll get back to you. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends who are struggling with getting started in real estate investing so that I can reach more people. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on next week's video.